Okay, we're going to go ahead and start the meeting. It is 6:30, April 5th, 2021. If we could all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, just a quick reminder, if anyone wishes to speak tonight, there's a sign-in sheet in the back. If you could just put your information on that. And if you do come forward to speak, just state your name and address. I think at this point, with my allergies acting up, I'm going to hand everything over to our Vice Chair, Henry Wolfius, to conduct tonight's meeting. So, Henry, I'm going to pass you the little gavel. And it is all you.
Well, welcome everybody. I look forward to these meetings. You hear me now?
There you go.
For tonight,
Henry, can I interrupt? We need to do roll call first.
I didn't hear what you said.
We need to do roll call.
What your roll call by name?
Chairman Parker,
Here.
Commissioner Wolfius,
Here.
Commissioner Melcher,
Here.
Commissioner Stevens, he is excused absence. Commissioner Journey.
Present.
And Commissioner Korn also called with an excused absence.
So those that are present and those that are online, we do have a quorum.
Correct, we do.
With that said,
If I can interrupt, the audio is not coming through.
and then stay.
That's not, so this screen right up here.
Okay. So I would like to read the following. The applicable substantive criteria are listed in the staff report. Testimony, arguments, and evidence must be directed towards the criteria described or other criteria in the plan or land use regulation which the person believes to apply to the decision. Failure to raise an issue accompanied by statements or evidence sufficient to afford the decision maker and the parties an opportunity to respond to the issue precludes appeal to the Land Use Board of Appeals based on that issue. We will then ask members of the Commission whether they have any personal bias, any conflict of interest, or any ex parte information. That will be followed by the staff report with a review of the application, discussion of the relative criteria that must be used, and during this presentation, the members of the Planning Commission may ask questions of the staff to clarify the application or any part of the zoning ordinance or applicable information. Then the applicant will present their testimony. We will entertain any anybody that is the proponent's testimony, those wishing to speak in favor of the application, any opponent's testimony, which are those that are wishing to speak in opposition to the application, then the neutral testimony, if there are those who neither speak for nor against, but have something that they would like to express. And then we will have a rebuttal in the same order. We will then close the public hearing, and the Planning Commission will discuss the issues which we have heard and make a decision. That decision may include approval of the application, denial of the application, approval with conditions, or we may continue it to a later date. If there is an objection to the decision, it can be appealed to the City Council. The Planning Commission shall set the number of days for the appeal record or period. At the time the City Council goes through the public hearing process all over again. Recommendations made by the Planning Commission, then the City Council makes the final decision. If you have a question, please wait until the appropriate time and then direct your questions to the Planning Commission. Please speak one at a time so the recorder knows who is speaking. And those that are wishing to speak, we would invite them to come up and sit in the chair and identify yourself by your name and your address. With that said, we'll move on. Have we all had a chance to review the minutes of the last meeting? Are there any corrections? If there are no corrections, I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting.
I move we approve the minutes.
Eva Journey has moved to approve the minutes of the last meeting.
I will second that.
Is that Jamie?
Jamie.
Okay, Jamie seconded. All in favor, approval by saying aye.
I have to do roll call.
Roll call, excuse me.
That's okay.
I can't go too far on because you guys all keep me straight.
Commissioner Melcher.
Aye.
Commissioner Wolthius.
Aye.
Chairman Parker.
Aye.
Commissioner Journey.
Aye.
Commissioner Stevens and Commissioner Corn are absent.
Okay, we will move to the first application. It's application ZMA 21-01. The applicant is proposing to change the zoning map in an area consisting of approximately 20,210 square feet, 0.46 acres, located at 4347 Highway 20, Sweet Home, Oregon. That's tax lot 13 South 1328 DC, tax lot 2500. The Sweet Home zoning map is proposed to change from the residential low density R1 zone to the highway commercial C2 zone. The proposed zone change would bring the zoning designation into conformity with the property's existing comprehensive plan map designation. The Planning Commission will hold a public hearing and make a recommendation to the City Council. The City Council will hold a public hearing and decide on this application. Application ZMA 20-04 is being filed simultaneously with application PLA 21-04. Application PLA 21-04 is pending the approval of application ZMA 21-01. So Angela, we'll turn some time over to you then, and don't quite go 90 miles an hour, but give us the staff report.
All right, commissioners, summary of application ZMA 21-01. Commissioner Meltzer did find that there was a clerical error on page 2I under location. It should say currently zoned residential low density R1 and changing to the highway commercial C2 zone. The rest of the application is correct in that area. All right, the subject tract contains approximately 20,210 square feet, 0.46 acres. The property is currently zoned residential low density R1, and the comprehensive plan designation is commercial highway C2. The applicant is requesting to change the zoning to highway commercial C2, bringing it into conformity with the property's existing comprehensive plan map designation. Based on the review of the FEMA firm map panel 41043C 0914G dated September 29th, 2010, the subject property is in the 100-year floodplain. Actually, no, it is not in the flood. Sorry, I typed that wrong. Is not in the 20-year floodplain. The subject property does not show wetlands or waterways on the property that are depicted on the Sweet Home Local Wetlands Inventory and the National Wetlands Inventory map. Based on the Lynn County 2018 aerial photo, the area is surrounded by highway commercial lots, including the commercial lot to the east owned by the applicant. There is no development planned with the zone map amendment application. Based on the findings above, the proposed zone plan designation would be consistent with the Sweet Home Comprehensive Plan. Based on the findings listed in Section 3 of this report, staff recommends that the Planning Commission recommend that the City Council approve this application. Since the request is for a zone change, staff has not recommended any conditions of approval. In acting on the zone change application, the Planning Commission will hold a public hearing at which it may either recommend that the City Council approve or deny the application. The recommendation should be based on the applicable review and design criteria. The City Council will hold a public hearing and decide on this application. So for the Planning Commissioner's motion, after opening the public hearing and receiving testimony, the Planning Commission's options include the following. Number one, move to recommend that the City Council approve application ZMA 21-01, which includes adopting the findings of fact listed in the staff report. Number two, move to recommend that the City Council deny application ZMA 21-01 and specify your reasons. Number three, move to continue the public hearing to a date and time certain, and please specify or for other. And that is it for my summary.
Does the Planning Commission have any questions? Commissioner Parker? Okay, we'll move ahead to the next phase. Are there those who would like to speak?
Commissioner Wolthius, we need to go through the bias and ex
Oh,
parte.
excuse me. Let me get to that page. We'll ask this question anyway. Does any member of the Planning Commission have a bias?
No.
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 Do we only have one online? Okay. Does any member of the Planning Commission have a conflict of interest?
No.
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 No. And does any member of the Planning Commission have any ex parte information?
No.
No.
No?
No.
Okay, we've covered that. Okay. Let's go then to the testimony, the applicant's testimony, if they are here tonight.
Good evening. Yeah, everyone hear me okay? Okay, great. My name is Laura LaRock. I work with Udell Engineering and Land Surveying. The property address is 63 East Ash in Lebanon, Oregon. I'm the applicant's representative this evening. So the applicant has 3 different applications that you're going to hear about. The first one that we're discussing tonight is a zone change. With it is a concurrent property line adjustment to consolidate the 2 parcels that abut one another. So that will just remove the common shared property boundary between the 2. And then the upcoming public hearing is a conditional use to ask for a caretaker to reside on an established self-serve storage facility. So the application under consideration tonight, I think Angela did a great job, so I won't add too much more to it. Property is currently zoned for low density residential development, although it sits right on a state highway and is surrounded by commercial development. Changing the zone to the C2 commercial zone designation would be consistent with the city's long range plan and also the existing development pattern of the community. So with that, I'll just be here mostly to answer any questions that you might have about the application.
Okay. I don't have any questions. You? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone that would speak in opposition to the application? Is there anyone that would speak in a neutral manner, neither for nor against the application? With that said, we'll close the hearing at 7:45 and discuss it among the commission. Any comments or questions?
No, I don't have anything. It's
Pretty straightforward.
kind of unifying everything that should be done down there.
Jamie, you're online. Do you have any questions?
Yes. We're taking this property out of a residential use into a commercial use. Does the city have a buildable lands inventory, or are we just taking into consideration the economic opportunity analysis from 2017 to support this?
I don't know if Angela wants to answer that or if the rest of us want to make a stab at it. We've had several inventories in the past, and I think that we're adequately covered. Angela, do you want to report on that?
Now, yeah, we'd have to reopen.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
You're okay. So, Jamie, I don't know if we've answered that adequately for you.
Hold on. One moment, Jamie. I'm
It's-
looking it up it's in the packet.
Thank you, Angela.
I personally am not very concerned about the inventory on that piece of property.
This is Blair. I can weigh in a little bit while Angela's looking it up. The city, it's been a while since the city has had a buildables lands inventory done, especially when it comes, and it's been a while since we've had a housing needs analysis done. When it comes to available housing, available residential lands, we do have a lot, quite a bit of land available. And so it's not too much of a concern, at least when it comes to removing land from the residential zone. As I recall from this application, this is bringing the zoning into compliance with the comprehensive plan designation. And so that's the the main justification for moving forward with that zone change. Angela, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong.
You are correct. And commissioners, if you look at, with your packet, Udell Engineering provided a summary with the zone map application. And if you look in there, they address the statewide planning goals and I was looking for specifically here, the ORS chapters. Part of this is Commissioner Melcher's to bring everything into conformance along the highway to be commercial. That one, if I am correct, I haven't lived here that long, had traditionally had a house on it, but the remainder of that stretch was commercial. And like I said, it is in your packet, and I can try to find it if you want me to specifically find it, but it's the part of the Udell page 1 through 9 of their summary that was submitted with your packet.
I just word searched it and found that. Thank you.
Okay.
Well, I'll offer my opinion, and then I will get the rest of the opinions. It seems like this is pretty straightforward, bringing it into compliance with the comprehensive plan. I would personally vote to approve it. Commissioner Parker?
I have no questions at this time or anything to add. We do have quite a bit of buildable property on the books right now with a lot of subdivisions coming in and plat maps being submitted. So I'm not worried about losing it from residential inventory.
You have a journey?
So it seems to me to just foster consistency along that commercial stretch of highway. So I don't have any other comments.
Jamie Melcher?
I'm completely fine with this. I just want to make sure that we do have plenty of properties that are consistent with our comp plan, and this seems to fit that. So I'm prepared to make a motion.
Please proceed.
I would move to recommend that the City Council approve application ZMA 21-01, which includes adopting the findings of fact listed in the staff report.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Eva Journey. All in favor? Say aye. Oh, roll call vote.
By roll call vote, Commissioner Melcher,
Aye.
Commissioner Wolthius,
Aye.
Commissioner Parker,
Aye.
Commissioner Journey,
Aye.
okay, Commissioner Stevens and Commissioner Korn are absent, so 4-3, it passes.
Okay. The application has been approved, and we will now prepare to send that on to the City Council for their approval. Thank you for coming. We'll go on to application CU21-01. The applicant is requesting a conditional use permit to allow a caretaker dwelling as an accessory use to the existing commercial self-serve storage facility. Per Sweet Home Municipal Code 17.36.030, parentheses G and parentheses, a single-family dwelling occupied by the owner, manager, night watchman, or caretaker of the commercial establishment may be permitted accessory to the commercial use. The subject property contains approximately 45,102 square feet and is in the commercial highway C2 zone. So I'd like to ask of the Planning Commission, does anyone have a personal bias?
No.
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 And no from Jamie. Does anyone have a conflict of interest?
No.
And is there any ex parte information,
No.
No.
particular
No.
information that would apply to the hearing tonight that we might have known before the hearing? My answer is no. With that said, we'd like to invite the applicant to come forward. Oh, excuse me. Let's go with Angela's staff report.
Okay. Summary of conditional use application 21-01. This is in the adjacent property to the one that we just heard. It's a storage unit that already exists. And the applicant is requesting a conditional use permit to allow a caretaker dwelling as an accessory use to an existing commercial self-serve storage facility. Per Sweet Home Municipal Code 17.36.030G, a single-family dwelling occupied by the owner, manager, night watchman, or caretaker of the commercial establishment may be permitted accessory to the commercial use. The subject property contains approximately 45,102 square feet and is in the commercial highway C2 zone. Based on the review of the FEMA firm maps, panel 41043C0914G, dated September 29, 2010, the subject property is not located in the Hunting Deer floodplain. The subject property does not contain wetlands that are inventoried on the Sweet Home Local Wetlands Inventory or National Wetlands Inventory map. Staff finds that there are no potential impacts identified for the surrounding neighbors. There would be minimal traffic or parking impact and no need for public facilities improvements. The applicant indicates that the proposed caretaker dwelling will not use any materials or mechanical equipment that will create any impacts on the neighborhood. If this application is approved, staff recommends the Planning Commission impose no additional conditions of approval as there are no potential impacts which need mitigation except for procedural conditions to assure the operation of the home occupation as represented by the applicant. As required under this section, the conditional use permit shall be void 1 year after the date of the Planning Commission approval if the use has not been substantially established as defined under Sweet Home Municipal Code 17.80.0708 within that time period. As stated in the Sweet Home Municipal Code, the city planner may grant one extension of up to 1 year for a conditional use permit that contained a 1 year initial duration upon written request of the applicant and prior to the expiration of the approved period. Requests other than a 1 year request made prior to the expiration of the approved period must be approved by the Planning Commission. A conditional use permit not meeting the above timeframes will be expired and a new application will be required. If the Planning Commission approves this application, staff recommends that conditions of approval listed below be required in order to ensure that the application is consistent with the findings in the review and design criteria in Section 3 and as required by the Sweet Home Municipal Code and other provisions of law. Appeals to the Land Use Board of Appeals, LUBA, may only be based on review design criteria listed above. Recommending conditions if the application is approved. Number 1, the construction and use of the proposed caretaker dwelling will be conducted in a manner consistent with the representations made by the applicant in the application and hearing process. Number 2, vehicles related to the business shall be parked in a manner not to block any driveway or impede the safe flow of traffic. Number 3, the applicant shall provide a lighting plan acceptable to the Sweet Home Municipal Code requirements of 17.44.090. The applicant shall not conduct, operate, or maintain the proposed caretaker dwelling in such a manner as to cause loud, offensive noise to be emitted from there between the regular building hours, per Sweet Home Municipal Code 9.20.020. And number 5, the property owner shall obtain and comply with all other applicable local, state, and federal permits and requirements. Pardon me. In taking action on a conditional use permit, the Planning Commission will hold a public hearing at which it may either approve or deny the applications. If the application is denied, the action must be based on the applicable review and design criteria. If approved, the Planning Commission may impose conditions of approval. Staff's recommended conditions are listed in Section 4. The appeal period. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission's decision on this matter be subject to a 12-day appeal period from the date that the notice of decision is mailed. Order. After the Planning Commission makes a decision, staff recommends that the Planning Commission direct staff to prepare an order that is signed by the chairperson of the Planning Commission. The order would memorialize the decision and provide the official list of conditions, if any, that apply to the approval, if the application is approved. Motion. After opening the public hearing and receiving testimony, the Planning Commission's option to include the following. 1, move to approve application CU 21-01, which includes adopting the findings of fact listed in the staff report and the conditions of approval listed in Section 4 of the staff report, the setting of a 12-day appeal period from the date of the mailing of the decision, and hereby direct staff to prepare an order to be signed by the chair to memorialize this decision. Move to deny application CU 21-01, which includes adopting the findings of fact and specify, including the setting of a 12-day appeal period from the date of mailing of this decision, and hereby direct staff to prepare an order to be signed by the chair to memorialize this decision. Number 3, move to continue the public hearing to a date and time certain, specify, or number 4, other. Any questions for staff?
Any questions of the staff?
I have none.
Go ahead, Jamie.
She said no.
Or, oh, none. I thought she said I have one. I don't have any questions either. Commissioner Parker?
I have no questions.
Yeah. Okay, there are no questions. Would invite the applicant then to come forward. Now, I'm assuming, go ahead, but I'm assuming that our previous bias and ex parte and all those things are applicable to this also. Okay, go ahead.
Great, thank you. So just for the record, I will repeat my name. My name is Laura LaRock. I'm the Director of Land Use Services with Udell Engineering and Land Surveying. Property address for Udell is 63 East Ash Street in Lebanon, Oregon. So this is a part of the last hearing. This site that we're talking about for this public hearing is a developed site with a self-storage facility. This particular property borders 44th Street and Santiam Highway to the north. The applicant is requesting to construct a caretaker dwelling over an existing office. The purpose of the caretaker dwelling is to monitor the site so that they have an on-site presence. Also will help with management of the facility and care of the facility as well. The purpose of the conditional use is to mitigate any potential negative impacts. Because it's residential in nature, the impacts to this site, if any, are going to be less than what a commercial enterprise could. So just trips to the site to park like any normal residential dwelling. There's no noise. The construction will be similar to what's already there developed on site. The applicant hasn't identified any potential negatives that would need mitigation through conditions. We've reviewed the staff recommended conditions of approval and just have one modification we would like to bring to the commission's attention for consideration. So recommended condition number 3 states the applicant shall provide a lighting plan. The applicant hasn't proposed any exterior lighting with this application. So if you feel that that condition is necessary, we would hope that it might be revised to say if exterior lighting is proposed, then a lighting plan would be provided to address any lighting concerns that there might be. Otherwise, I'm here this evening just to answer questions, comments, anything that I can help out with.
Are there any questions of the Planning Commission?
Hi, Laura. So could you just clarify what you were just talking about with the lighting? Because I think that's important, especially with a commercial location in the highway. We don't want trespass and, you know, all the other kinds of things that could potentially be implemented. So could you speak a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so it's my understanding that this site is already developed.
Right.
And I apologize, I'm not aware if there is site lighting there existing, but there has not been any additional exterior lighting proposed with this application. So the really only lighting that would be affected by the proposal is just the interior lighting of the dwelling itself.
Oh.
But I think what the condition is trying to get at is that if there was any additional lighting on site, that it might be maybe not glaring on
Right.
abutting property owners.
Yeah.
So I think the condition could stay and just be rewritten, just say that if there's any exterior lighting proposed, that a lighting plan is provided. And that might achieve what the intent was.
Thanks.
Commissioner Parker?
Yeah, no, I think she's correct in assuming that had in regards to the commercial portion of it. I don't believe I haven't driven by it to confirm if there's exterior lighting already on site as far as security lighting. I'm going to make an assumption that the new structure will contain certain amount of exterior lighting in similarity to a residence. As
The,
far as porch lights and door lighting.
yeah, the storage unit facility itself has lighting, has a lighting plan. Whether this has additional lighting will be brought forward during the building permit phase. So
That's all I have.
Okay. We'll let you return to your seat, and
Thank you.
we'll invite anybody that would like to speak in favor of the application. Anybody that would like to speak in opposition to the application. If there's anybody that would like to speak neutrally regarding the application, we'll close the public hearing at 7:05 and discuss it with the Planning Commission. Eva, would you like to go first?
So Angela, could you clarify this, why you included number 3 as a condition then? What's the purpose of that?
it's a standard condition that we add to most, especially when it comes to, you know, lighting on the highway and whatnot. So it is something that you as commissioners do have the right, if you want to change the wording on it, if they apply. There was a lighting plan with the original storage units.
Right.
There is not because we haven't seen the building plans yet. I don't know if there's a lighting plan going to be with this, but there is currently a lighting plan with the storage units. And this is just some of our boilerplate conditions that we put in when it comes to most businesses and most things that we see developed. If that answered your question.
Sort of. Okay.
Anything further, Eva? Commissioner Parker? Commissioner Melcher?
I have no comments. Just, Angela, do we need to modify that then? I mean, it kind of just states that lighting plans would have to be submitted to staff for review and approval.
You can, the commissioners can reword the conditions. So you guys can change the conditions to, yeah.
I'm not sure if it's necessary.
Right, and that would
Yeah.
only be if we were to choose number 3 as a condition of approval.
Okay. It would be my opinion that this is already a commercial site, that there's probably little impact on any residences nearby. And probably my feeling would be to go ahead and approve it as it's been applied for. What do you feel, Eva?
I make a motion. Can you hear me, Angela? Is this good? Okay. I move to approve application CU 21-01, which includes adopting the findings of fact listed in the staff report and the conditions of approval listed in section 4 of the staff report. The setting of a 12-day appeal period from the date of the mailing of the decision, and hereby direct staff to prepare an order to be signed by the chair to memorialize this decision.
I will second that.
Okay, we have a motion for approval by Eva Journey and a second by Commissioner Parker. All in favor, say, there's a roll call vote, excuse me.
Okay, roll call vote.
We used to do it the other way a lot, so I'm
I
a
know.
creature of habit.
Commissioner Melcher,
Aye.
Aye,
Commissioner Voltius,
aye.
Chairman Parker,
Aye.
Commissioner Journey,
Aye.
and then Commissioner Stevens and Commissioner Corn are absent. 4-3, it passes.
Okay, so it has been approved and it will now go to the city council for final approval by our recommendation. Thank you very much.
Night, Laura.
The next public hearing will be application CU21-02. The applicant is requesting a conditional use permit to allow for a proposed non-dwelling accessory building on the subject property. In the residential low-density R1 zone, a secondary use on a lot without a primary use is allowed as per conditional use. Sweet Home Municipal Code 17.24.030, parentheses L. The subject property contains approximately 10,917 square feet and is in the residential low-density R1 zone. I will ask members of the commission if they have any bias.
No.
No.
Do you have any conflict of interest?
No.
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 And third item was any ex parte information.
No.
I drove by the property.
No.
Is there anything that you saw that would influence your vote tonight?
No.
Okay. With that, let's turn the time over to Angela for the staff report.
Okay, my summary of conditional use application 21-02. The applicant is requesting a conditional use permit to allow for a proposed non-dwelling accessory building on the subject property. In the residential low-density R1 zone, a secondary use on a lot without a primary use is allowed per a conditional use. Sweet Home Municipal Code 17.24.030L. The subject property contains approximately 10,917 square feet and is in the residential low-density zone. Based on a review of the FEMA firm maps, panel 41043C0913G, dated September 29th, 2010, the subject property is not located in the 100-year floodplain. The subject property does not contain wetlands that are inventoried on the Sweet Home Local Wetlands Inventory or the National Wetlands Inventory map. The subject property has frontage along 9th Avenue. However, the parcel will be accessed via the driveway on 701 8th Avenue, also owned by the applicant. Staff finds the site size, dimensions, location, topography, and access are adequate for the needs of the proposed use. The staff engineer recommends the driveway apron be removed along 9th Avenue and a standard sidewalk section replace the curb and driveway. There is also a tripping hazard of tilted concrete sidewalk panels a few feet south of the driveway that, while not part of the access apron, is a liability and is adjacent homeowner's responsibility. Staff finds that no potential impacts are identified for surrounding neighbors. The applicant indicates the proposed secondary use will not use any materials or mechanical equipment that will create any impacts on the neighborhood. If this application is approved, staff recommends the Planning Commission impose no additional conditions of approval as there are no potential impacts which need mitigation except for procedural conditions to assure the operation of the home occupation. Sorry, not home occupation, to assure the application is represented by the applicant. The Planning Commission may grant one extension up to 1 year for conditional use permit that contained a 1-year initial duration upon written request of the applicant and prior to the expiration of the approved period. Requests other than a 1-year request made prior to the expiration of the approved period must be approved by the Planning Commission. A conditional use permit not meeting the above timeframes will be expired and a new application will be required. If the Planning Commission approves this application, staff recommends that the conditions of approval listed below are required in order to ensure that the application is consistent with the findings in the review and design criteria in Section 3, and as required by the Sweet Home Municipal Code and other provisions of law. Appeals to the Land Use Boards of Appeal, LUBA, may only be based on review and design criteria listed above. Recommending conditions if the application is approved. Number 1, the construction and use of the proposed secondary use will be constructed in a manner consistent with the representations made by the applicant in the application and hearing process. Number 2, staff recommends that the 9th Avenue driveway apron be removed and a standard sidewalk section replace the curb and driveway. Staff also recommends that the applicant fix the tilted concrete sidewalk panels a few feet south of the driveway. Number 3, the property owner shall obtain and comply with all other applicable local, state, and federal permits and requirements. In taking action on a conditional use permit, the Planning Commission will hold a public hearing at which it may either approve or deny the application. If the application is denied, and the action must be based on the applicable review and design criteria. If approved, the Planning Commission may impose conditions of approval. Staff's recommended conditions are included in Section 4. The appeal period, staff recommends that the Planning Commission decision on this matter be subject to a 12-day appeal period from the date that the notice of decision is mailed. The order, after the Planning Commission makes a decision, staff recommends that the Planning Commission direct staff to prepare an order that is signed by the chairperson of the Planning Commission. The order would memorialize the decision and provide the official list of conditions, if any, that apply to the approval if the application is approved. After opening the public hearing and receiving testimony, the Planning Commission's option include the following. Move to approve application CU 21-02, which includes adopting the finding of facts listed in the staff report and conditions of approval listed in Section 4 of the staff report. The setting of a 12-day appeal period from the date of mailing of the decision, and hereby direct staff to prepare an order to be signed by the chair to memorialize this decision. Number 2, move to deny application CU 21-02, which includes adopting the finding of facts, specify including the setting of a 12-day appeal period from the date of the mailing of decision, and hereby direct staff to prepare an order to be signed by the chair to memorialize this decision. Number 3, move to continue the public hearing to a date and time certain. You'll need to specify. Or number 4, other. Are there any questions for staff?
I have one, Angela.
Yes, Jamie.
So the applicant owns the adjacent property on 8th.
Correct.
Why didn't they just consolidate the lots?
So originally we were going to do that, but we have a criteria that a lot cannot be more than 2.5 times the width, and it would have been. And so the only other way to do this is that to do the conditional use. So
that makes sense. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question. In regards to the driveway apron removal on 9th, obviously this is a shop building. I don't know how they're going to access it. Based on the satellite image, it doesn't look like there's much room to pass by the house on the north side.
So actually that will be the access. In order to approve this, they do have to come off of the property at the house, and in discussions with the applicant and with the staff engineer, there will be enough space there for vehicles to go past and get to the shop. Yeah.
And the building, the pole barn type shape, there's no additional permits with that because it's within the 864 square feet.
There will be building permits that are applied.
I mean, there's no conditional.
No. And we do have another example of this. There was a conditional use in 1995. I had to go back a ways. On Airport Road. Same thing. It was a shop built on a piece of land, and the house was on the other side of it. So it is something the Planning Commission has reviewed before.
I have no further questions.
There was another one up on Timber that we did about 3 or 4 years ago as well.
Okay.
Are there any other questions of the staff? Okay, then we would invite the applicant to come forward and have a seat, state your name and address, and tell us what you want to accomplish.
Yeah, my name's Robert Burton, 701 8th Avenue, Sweet Home. And did you get the map? So that was the concern on the driveway. So I measured it and I wrote it in 14 foot. And we use that now to access parking back here right now. So as far as the recommendations on the sidewalk on 9th Avenue and the drive, I actually went out there the other day, and roots from a large tree have pushed the sidewalk. The whole sidewalk needs to be repaired or replaced.
No, I wasn't quite sure I heard that right. Are we talking about on 8th or 9th?
9th.
On 9th. Okay. And is the raised sidewalk in front of your property or is it the neighbor's property?
It's mine.
Pardon?
It's in front of mine.
In front of
It's
yours.
the property on 9th Avenue.
Okay.
Yeah, it's bad. It needs to be replaced. And we won't access through there, so when we're replacing that, we'll just replace the curb at the same time.
So do you anticipate at any future time putting a home on this lot?
Well, a little history on it. I bought this a couple years before I retired when it became available. And then we were gonna put a home on it for my mom. And that, she didn't want that, so anyhow, no, I don't. But I am placing it's gonna be a 2-car garage with a small shop and storage area. I'm placing it on the property, whereas if I do sell that property, there would be room for an existing home to be placed onto.
That was part of my question because property will be around a long time after we're not here.
Yeah. No, I thought
And,
about that. And also, I mean, it'd be foolish not to
And if you know,
put it
if,
in the middle, they'd have to tear it down to build a house. So where it's placed, they can still build a house on the existing.
if you can locate it in a way where the use of the lot is still kind of preserved,
Right.
that's a good
That's
thing.
what I did.
Any other questions?
No, his
Mr.
placement,
Parker?
his placement of it was the only question I was going to have, and he answered that.
Jamie, do you have any questions?
I have none.
Jamie?
I have no questions.
Okay. All right. We'll let you return to your seat, Sam. And we will invite anybody who'd like to speak in favor of the application, along with the applicant. Is there anyone that would like to speak in opposition to the application? Anybody with neutral comments, neither for nor against? With that, we'll close the hearing at 7:22, and we will discuss it among the Planning Commission. Eva, do you want to go first?
I don't have any questions. This is pretty straightforward.
Commissioner Parker?
No, I'm just pleased to see that he's thinking about future ownership of the property and placing the shop in a good location.
Let's see, that's my feelings too. Just to preserve the use of the property for future use when we may not be the users. Jamie, do you have anything that you'd like to?
I agree with you, commissioners.
Okay, and we'll have the sidewalk repaired as part of the process. So my feelings, my recommendation would be that I would vote for it. Commissioner Parker? Eva? Jamie? Jamie?
Sorry, I keep having to unmute. I'm ready to make a motion.
Please do.
I would move to approve application CU 21-02, which includes adopting the findings of fact listed in the staff report and the conditions of approval listed in section 4 of the staff report. The setting of a 12-day appeal period from the date of the mailing of the decision, and hereby direct staff to prepare an order to be signed by the chair to memorialize this decision.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the application by Jamie Melcher. Do I have a second?
I second.
A second by Eva Journey, and a roll call vote.
Okay, roll call. Commissioner Melcher,
Aye.
Commissioner Wolthius,
Aye.
Chairman Parker,
Aye.
Commissioner Journey,
Aye.
Commissioner Stevens, and Commissioner Korn are absent. So 4-3, motion passes.
Okay. Well, Sam and Leora, it passed, and we will pass it's passed the commission. We will make a recommendation to the city council to approve it. And,
No, this one's done.
and there is time for an appeal of 12 days, I think is what we have. So anyway, you're on your way. Thank you very much. Okay, we have one more hearing. And that hearing will be application CU21-03. The applicant is requesting a conditional use permit to establish a home business on their property. The home occupation would consist of cosmetology and counseling services operated by a resident of the property within the dwelling located on the property. The applicant expects to see between 0 and 4 clients per day, with hours ranging from 1 to 4 per client. 1 to 4 hours, must be hours per client. The applicant will contain all parking on the subject property. The applicant will be the only employee. The subject property contains approximately 13,174 square feet and is in the residential low-density zone. I will ask the Planning Commission, is there any bias?
No.
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 Is there any conflict of interest?
No.
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 No. Any ex parte information?
No.
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 And no. Okay, with that, we'll open it up for the staff report.
Okay, my summary of conditional use application 21-03. The applicant is requesting a conditional use permit to establish a home occupation or home business on their property. The home occupation would consist of cosmetology and counseling services operated by the residents of the property within the dwelling located on the property. The applicant expects to see between 0 and 4 clients per day, with hours ranging from 1 to 4 per client. The applicant will contain all parking on the subject property. The applicant will be the only employee, and the subject property contains about 13,174 square feet and is a residential low-density R1 zone. Based on the review of the FEMA firm map panel 41043C0914G dated September 29th, 2010, the subject property is not located in the 100-year floodplain. The subject property does not contain wetlands that are inventoried on the Sweet Home local wetland inventory or national wetland inventory map. The subject property has frontage along Ironwood Street. The home occupation is defined as a lawful occupation carried on by a resident of a dwelling where the occupation is secondary to the main use of the property as a residence, per Sweet Home Municipal Code 17.04.030 in definitions. The standards for home occupations are listed in Sweet Home Municipal Code 17.80. Home occupations are not discussed in the individual zoning chapters. Based on the above, it is the staff's interpretation of the Sweet Home Municipal Code that home occupations can be established accessory to a residential use under the conditional use criteria listed in Sweet Home Municipal Code 17.80. With the application of Sweet Home Municipal Code 17.80 and the above referenced condition, the application complies with this criteria. Staff finds that the site size, dimensions, location, topography, and access are adequate for the proposed use. No potential impacts are identified by staff for the surrounding neighbors. As the proposed use has no employees, the client stated she will have 0 to 4 clients per day visiting the home. There would be no traffic or parking impact and no need for any public facility improvements. The applicant indicates the home occupation would not use any materials or mechanical equipment that will create any impacts on the neighborhood. Excuse me. If this application is approved, staff recommends the Planning Commission impose no additional conditions of approval as there are no potential impacts which need mitigation except for procedural conditions to assure the operation of a home occupation as represented by the applicant. As required under this section, the conditional use permit shall be void 1 year after the date of the Planning Commission approval if the use has not been substantially established, as defined under Sweet Home Municipal Code 17.80.070A within that time period. As stated in the Sweet Home Municipal Code, the city planner may grant one extension of up to 1 year for a conditional use permit that contain 1 year initial duration upon written request of the applicant and prior to the expiration of the approval period. Requests other than a 1 year request made prior to the expiration of the approval period must be approved by the Planning Commission. A conditional use permit not meeting the above timeframes will be expired and a new application will be required. If the Planning Commission approves this application, staff recommends that the conditions of approval listed below be required in order to ensure the application is consistent with the findings in review and design criteria, Section 3, and as required by the Sweet Home Municipal Code and other provisions of law. Appeals to the Land Use Board of Appeals, LUBA, may only be based on review and design criteria listed. Recommended conditions if the application is approved. Number 1, the home occupation will be conducted in a manner consistent with the representations made by the applicant in the application and hearing process. All aspects of the home occupation shall be contained and conducted within a completely enclosed building as proposed in this application. Parking may occur outdoors in compliance with the Sweet Home Municipal Code. Vehicles related to the home occupation shall be parked in a manner so as not to block any driveway or impede the safe flow of traffic. And number 4, the property owner shall obtain and comply with all other applicable local, state, and federal permits and requirements. In taking action on a conditional use permit, the Planning Commission will hold a public hearing at which it may either approve or deny the application. The application is denied, the action must be based on the applicable review and design criteria. If approved, the Planning Commission may impose conditions of approval. Staff's recommended conditions are included in Section 4. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission decision on this matter be subject to a 12-day appeal period from the date of the decision is mailed. After the Planning Commission makes a decision, staff recommend that the Planning Commission direct staff to prepare an order that is signed by the chairperson of the Planning Commission. The order will memorialize the decision and provide the official list of conditions, if any, that apply to the approval if the application is approved. After opening the public hearing and receiving testimony, the Planning Commission's option include the following. Number 1, move to approve application CU 21-03, which includes adopting the findings of fact listed in the staff report and the conditions of approval listed in Section 4 of the staff report. The setting of a 12-day appeal period from the date of the mailing of the decision, and hereby direct staff to prepare an order to be signed by the chair to memorialize this decision. Move to deny application CU 21-03, which includes adopting the findings of fact, and you'll specify, including the setting of a 12-day appeal period from the date of mailing of the decision, and hereby direct staff to prepare an order to be signed by the chair to memorialize this decision. Number 3, move to continue the public hearing to a date and certain time to be specified, or number 4, other. Any questions for staff?
Any questions? Jamie, any questions? For the
I
staff?
have no questions.
I don't have any either. With that said, we would invite the applicant to come forward, have a seat, state your name and address.
Good evening, my name is Lori Roberts, 2250 Arnold Street, Suite 11, and 7386. And I'm just here to answer questions.
Kind of looks like your counseling is primarily in the area of alcohol and drug abuse.
I'm a qualified mental health practitioner as well with the state. I have a master's in life coaching, marriage counseling, family counseling, sexual trauma, grief and loss.
Okay. You want to ask her any questions?
So that's helpful to know, because there was also some language about cosmetology, and I wondered if you were an esthetician or anyway.
I am a full cosmetologist. I do everything. I've had 3 salons here in Sweet Home. They've been sold out from under me within a 2-year period of every time I lease or rented a building. So I'm pretty much tired of that circus.
So what's the licensure required for that kind of?
Cosmetology.
Yeah.
I carry 4 practitioner servicing practitioner licenses. I carry 1 as a salon at the facility. I carry also 1 I Am Mobile. So I do That's
So-
what I'm doing right now.
Is that the same as a licensed esthetician in other states? Or do you know that?
I'm an esthetician.
Okay.
I'm a barber, I'm a hair esthetician,
Okay.
and I am a nail tech. I'm also an educator.
Yeah, well, it's a very broad scope there. Thank you. That answered.
And I was trained and worked at Southern Women's Over.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's where my addiction and recovery. I married somebody that's in recovery and
Okay.
took that route to make sure I stay married. This is my third marriage.
Okay, thank you very much.
Commissioner Parker. Commissioner Melcher.
I was having a little bit of difficulty hearing the applicant, but I just wanted to say that I really appreciate that she is going to be providing an opportunity or another option for mental health counseling for drug and alcohol. I think that's very needed in our community.
Will you push the mic up when you talk? Just push it closer to you.
So will you be doing any hair beauty work?
Yes.
So you're a beautician besides?
A cosmetologist involves everything that has to do with any kind of hair and hair appearance. And there's the aesthetics work is in all kinds of things, reflexology, skin conditions, treat those.
Okay.
If you can make it up, I can figure it out.
All right. While you're still in here, I have a question of the staff. The signage is a 4 foot by 2 foot. You'll probably have to comply with the sign ordinance. And Angela, do you have anything on that?
Yes, if this gets approved, then we will have a discussion if she puts a sign in the yard and whatnot. But once this gets approved and the appeal comes through, and then I will contact her and we'll talk about the signage.
Okay. So there,
In a residential neighborhood, there are some that are approved that don't, if it's small, temporary, that type of thing. So we'll go through that criteria once a decision is made.
you might have to adjust the sign a little bit.
That will not be a problem.
Okay. Yeah, a 4 foot sign is a pretty big sign for a residential area. At least that impressed me. Any other questions of the applicant? Okay, we'll let you go back to your seat and we'll close this hearing at 7:37 and discuss it among the commission. I'm picking on you first all the time.
Oh, you're on.
That's fine. I welcome you picking on me, Henry.
Pardon? I can't hear what she said.
Neutral
The other testimony.
testimony, opposition. Testimony,
Well, I'll run through it just to be legal, but if anybody that we don't see out there is an opposition testimony or neutral testimony, come forward, but they're not here, so we've done it. Eva,
So I don't have my questions were answered, so I don't have any other comments.
close it again at 7:38.
Okay. My questions were answered. I don't have any other questions.
Mine were all answered. Again, I welcome an outlet, especially a licensed counselor.
Okay, just a couple of comments from me. Looks like you're planning on all the parking to be within your property. And it looks like you've got adequate space there, so that's a good thing. You might have to adjust the sign slightly to be in compliance with the sign ordinance. Other than that, I have no other questions. Jamie, do you?
It sounds like a very low impact to that neighborhood. That's all I have.
Okay, sounds like we're basically all in favor. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion Can you hear me, Angela? Okay. I move to approve application CU 21-03, which includes adopting the findings of fact listed in the staff report and the conditions of approval listed in section 4 of the staff report, the setting of a 12-day appeal period from the date of the mailing of the decision, and hereby direct staff to prepare an order to be signed by the chair to memorialize this decision.
I will second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion of approval by Ava Journey, a second by Jeff Parker, and we will do a roll call vote.
Commissioner Melcher,
Aye.
Commissioner Walthius,
Aye.
Chairman Parker,
Aye.
Commissioner Journey,
Aye.
Commissioner Stevens, and Commissioner Corn are absent. 4-3, motion passes.
Okay, your application has been approved by the commission. It will go to the city council. There's a 12-day appeal period that you two are on your way. Thank you.
Right.
Okay, does our evenings work?
We still have more.
Wait a minute.
Not applications, but we still have staff stuff.
Wait a minute, is there one more? I can't hear you, Jeff. You're,
Sorry.
well, I'm half deaf. You got to realize that. Let's see, cosmetology.
Okay, you ready for my updates?
Oh, wait a minute. What are you looking at?
So the next order of business is the staff updates on upcoming planning projects.
Okay, I was thinking you had
Oh,
another
no, that
application.
was the last application.
Okay, Angela, speak up.
Okay, so currently we have, just to give you guys an update, we have one vacant seat on the planning commission. So we will be looking for another planning commissioner to fill that spot. People aren't here. And upcoming applications, I have a lot. Our next meeting, May meeting, there'll be 3 conditional uses, 1 legislative amendment, 1 subdivision, and 1 variance application. And then I also, for administrative, we have 2 property line adjustments and 6 partitions in the hopper. So we are very busy right now as far as applications and land use goes. So that is all that I have for the pending applications, and I'm going to let Blair pop in here and talk about the code revisions. So unless you have
Before you
any
go on,
questions. Oh, go ahead,
What is
Henry.
the date of our May meeting?
May 3rd,
May 3rd?
correct.
I think I will be here, but there's a chance I will not.
Okay, yeah, just let me know. All right, you're on, Blair.
All right, commissioners, I apologize for not being there in person. Been under the weather today and decided not to come in and expose you all to whatever I've got. It should be fine though. It doesn't seem to be anything serious. To update you on what's going on with the revised development code, we have a draft ready for your review. Angela has hard copies there to pass out to you tonight. Commissioner Melcher, we will get yours to you definitely, and those who are absent, we will get them their copies as well. So as you'll see when you take a look at it, there's a lot to go over, and but we don't need to feel overwhelmed. We just need to start getting through it. So I've talked with Chairman Parker about this, about what process we want to follow. And essentially what we've determined is that we will start utilizing the second planning commission meeting of every month now for this, for the review of the draft code. And so we're going to try to continue to avoid scheduling any applications for that meeting. But we will start so that we can have basically a work session where we can just plow through as much of it as we can. We do have a schedule kind of worked out that is a planned schedule of how we want to divide up the code and hopefully get through. But we understand that things happen and we may have more discussion than that plan allows for. The one thing that we want to do is we want to make sure we limit our work sessions and our public meetings to no more, at the most, 2 hours. And so if we are bumping up against that limit and we haven't gone over everything, then we will just push it off until the next meeting, and it'll stretch out the process a little bit longer. But we'd rather be thorough and we'd rather be respectful of other people's time to than just rush through it. So the first meeting where we will go over those will be the 2 weeks from tonight. So that'll be April 19th, I believe.
Correct, Blair. Just for the planning commissioners that are here and those that are going to pick their binders up, on the inside cover there is the schedule. So that is the tentative schedule that we're going to use for the time being.
Yeah.
Sorry, Blair, go ahead.
Yeah, and thank you for noting that. I had forgotten where we had stuck it. I was pretty sure it was in there. So that's kind of it. I just want to introduce this. This has been something that staff has been working on for a while with our consultant. John Morgan, as you know, was hired on in the middle of this project. He hired on Walt Wendelowski, who used to be the planning director for the city of Lebanon. And so he's done a significant amount of work on this code. And it's, from what we're seeing so far, it's going to be far easier to work with than our existing code, a much better framework. Essentially, what was done for this draft was taking over a lot of things wholesale from our existing code, but putting them into a better, more easier to use format and trying to correct a few things as well. So there are a number of things that stay the same, but there are also some differences. But I want, we go through this, we need to keep in mind that this is a proposed draft, and we don't. I speaking for myself as a staff member, and I believe Angela would probably agree with me. We want as many eyes on this as we can to catch any mistakes that we might have missed, and any provisions in the code that may reflect better the views of citizens and what people want for Sweet Home. And so because as staff members, we can guide you through this, but we really shouldn't be the decision makers here. And we want to make sure that you have plenty of input in here and have this in a very public process, a very deliberate, thoughtful process. So nothing is set in stone, and we are happy to make what changes are appropriate. But we just want to make sure we do it in a consistent and thorough manner. And if you have any questions about that, we are happy to help. Of course, right now we can answer questions, but also at any time during this review process, if there are things that are found in the draft that you feel like you don't understand or that you're not comfortable with and want to just talk them over, staff is at your disposal to discuss the implications of various provisions there in the draft code. So with that, I leave you to devour these drafts and add them to your regular reading schedule. And if you need some light reading before bed to help you wind down, I'm sure this will help. But I'm happy to answer any questions you may have, and are grateful. I'm grateful that we have you all on our side here as we get through this process.
So real quick, Blair, I just wanted to confirm that some of the stuff in this new update and revisions that we'll be looking at has to do with a few things that are going to be required of smaller cities that will, when they exceed 10,000 people in population, we're going to be going over that information so that when that time comes, we don't have to revisit that as much. Is that correct?
Well, that's a policy decision, I think, for all of you to make and recommend to the council. There's a couple different options here. As you are aware, there are some requirements that apply to the city once we pass 10,000. We haven't gotten results from the 2020 census yet, and so for all we know, we could be over that 10,000 and we'll find out in the next year whether we are or not. But it's better to be prepared, and so I think at a minimum we would like to have provisions in the code that would be triggered by that happening and go into effect. Or if we don't care, we can just go ahead and implement them now, even if we're not required to. That is an option that we have, but that's more of a policy decision that's up for you and the council to determine.
Okay, thank you.
So I have a question about the text. So just quickly leafing through some of the pages, there's no, and this is sort of a question statement, I don't know quite how to frame this. The old language is not juxtaposed to the new language, correct? Just the new language is in here.
Right.
So to actually see changes, we would have to reference the old code to see how that's changed in this document. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
Because it's such a big change in format compared to the way the previous code was, there's not an easy way to do a side-by-side comparison. And so if you would like to review the way the existing code handles certain things, and you can't find it on your own, staff would be happy to guide you through that.
Okay.
And just to add to that, you all should have binders that have the old code in it. And if you don't, or you're missing sections, let me know. And I can make sure. If not, it's also on the website and I can tell you how to get there. So.
Okay. Yeah, that's a fair bit of homework, but it's something that's so needed.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I think we went through it, 3 or 4 times? I can't remember. So we've gone through it a few times, and I'm still finding things even when I was printing these for you. And so I've already marked up some more notes, but it will be great to have your eyes on this more than just staff's eyes. And, I'm hoping you will be pleased, because I can tell you I am, as a staff member. I'm really pleased to see some of the stuff in there. So I'm excited to be able to move forward with this.
There's a lot of stuff in this that's not just bringing us up to date, but it's also streamlining the process administratively for the city.
Yes, definitely. Any other questions on that?
I'm good.
Okay.
Jamie, do you have any questions you'd like to add in?
I have none.
All right. Well, I look forward to hearing what everybody has to say about it. I know that we won't be able to put this down, because it'll be such an exciting
How is
release.
streetscape coming?
Oh, the streetscape. I can't say it.
Yeah, street scraping is something Public Works does.
Yeah.
Scape is
Might unify the process.
this project. I think that I guess you call it an open house that we had. I think it went very well. Right now on the city website and through our social media, we have some web pages where people can enter their thoughts and opinions on some of the things that were proposed. And so I recommend that you take a look at what's there and put your input in there. But I think it went very well, and the consultants will be taking all that feedback and kind of distilling it into some plans that they will propose at. There will be 2 more meetings. There will be a before the council basically to propose some plans and then gather feedback again and then revise those and present a final plan.
Now, as one being at the open house, it was very nice that they were open to critiques and ideas, and I like that nothing was set in stone. They weren't really hard pressed on selling their ideas, so I was
So
promising.
I love Jeff's comment to the consultant when he said, when you plan parking, don't plan for Priuses, plan for pickups.
Now I don't have
Yeah, that's important to remember.
Well, if you're in the meeting tonight at 6. Thanks for coming. Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you all. Have a good night.
Night all.
Thank you.